morning all. So this is our third week of not having a rehearsal on Thursday evening, so a little chat about one of the pieces. Today I thought I'd just talk a little bit about Messiaen, O Sacrum Convivium, which we've rehearsed several times. A piece especially dear to my heart, as you may have gathered already. Just to kind of put you into the sort of context of where I feel this is coming from, or from my understanding. First of all, just to say, it's French. French music, even from Baroque times, has always been very particular. It's kind of slightly off the beaten track of the Austro-German tradition. It's always interested in colour and chords and harmonies, especially for colour. And the person that really got that going, of course, was Debussy. And Debussy's love of just chords like, which are full of sevenths and ninths and thirteenths and not going anywhere, whereas the Germans would always, they'd put down a chord like that, but then they'd always go to there. But Debussy would put down a chord like that and then go somewhere else, completely the wrong way, as it were, according to official harmony. So there's this love of colour, and Messiaen absolutely follows on from Debussy in his understanding of colour. His pieces for organ, which I've had the good fortune to play some of those. They're pretty tricky, but I used to try and play them in my youth. That they need really quite exotic sounds, exotic colours from the organ, and very particular. So that's the tradition we're coming from with Messiaen, and O Sacrum Convivium very much fits into that. Written in 1937, when so Messiaen's life more or less tallies with the 20th century. I think he was born around about 1900, 1901, something like that. So it very much he's mature, but he's still got plenty to do yet. 1930s and 40s, so when he's writing, he's exploring different ways of composing. And I did mention briefly in a rehearsal that he's written this piece using an octatonic scale. And just to kind of quickly explain what that is. So basically, instead of dividing up the scale into the eight notes we normally have, of which one is repeated, so therefore 7 different notes. Octatonic, as the name suggests, has 8 different notes. So it's sort of 9, if you like, when you get back to the beginning. And basically, it simply divides the scale up a bit like what we call a diminished seventh. And each of those minor thirds is then subdivided by going tone, semitone, tone, semitone. Or the other way around, semitone, tone. Sorry. So you get different chords, obviously coming from that sort of sound. If you're not sort of completely throwing tonality out, but you're being very loose with it. You might still say, well, C is the main note, but from those notes of the first one, say, you can get these chords. You can get you can't get a straightforward C G axis like you can in normal music, where it goes. You can't do that, but you can have so a C and an F and an A. You can have a D, F sharp A. You can have a D sharp, G sharp C, which is like A flat major. So there are certain chords you can get. You can have F sharp, diminished chord. So you can get various diminished chords, and you can get some major chords. And if you take the other scale, you can get different ones. So basically, it helps to explain why the language of this piece, it's very specific. It's so this is, if you imagine the F sharp is definitely the key note, but then he uses the notes. Uses this octatonic scale, so you get this strange juxtaposition of notes like there, and so you get certain preponderance of certain, rather what in normal scales are odd notes, but they're there all the time. And in particular, obviously, the use of diminished chords. So you get this, and then a lot of diminished sort of sounds coming there, but combined with other notes, but nevertheless the notes are all from the scale. So, and then it also explains the fact that the octatonic scale, it sort of divides up the scale into minor thirds and then subdivisions of minor thirds. Helps to explain why you get this, and then you get, so that's the same thing, but just shifted down a minor third. And so in Messiaen's music of this period, you do get a lot of this sort of kind of change of scene. That sort of sound, which is very particular. Anyway, without getting too technical, basically he's not composing this piece in the normal way. So he's definitely different sorts of sounds, and that's why the diminished chord and diminished intervals are so important to this piece, and why we kind of just have to really be good at working out your semitones. It's interesting, in various performances, obviously professional performances tend to stay in tune because they're professional singers, but as I said to you, even the National Youth Choir of Great Britain, in their performance, they went down a semitone. When we did it with Youth Choir, we did also slip a little bit as well. But I have included the Youth Choir performance, which I'm very proud of, in St. Stephen's Cathedral in Vienna, which we did a couple of years ago, and had a super choir in the summer of whatever that was, 19, and they really sang it very, very well indeed. And the other thing I just say about Youth Choir, when we did it, I think I might have said this in a rehearsal, every time we rehearsed it, first of all, it's a very long, slow piece, so you can't sort of sing it over and over, but every time we did rehearse it, we just sang it straight through, and it was the sense of calmness that came upon the whole choir when we did it, like they recognised, even though they weren't quite sure what they were doing to start with, they recognised its very special qualities, because of course the text is a communion text. It's all about the heavenly banquet and about the whole idea of, so it's kind of like quietly ecstatic type of atmosphere, and that's what we're trying to sort of create from this piece. Okay, so so a couple of words about the piece from that point of view, from the sort of the meaning or the sort of whole overall atmosphere. He does say, and again, performances vary hugely. He says slow and expressive, long et expressif, and he says battre les croches, which, as I think I mentioned in rehearsal, means beat quavers. Les croches are quavers in French, and I noticed that not many performances actually do. And in fact, one of the performances I have given you a link to is the Cambridge Singers with John Rutter, but they take it quite fast. If you take it really the sort of speed I think it's intended to be, it's a massive challenge on the breathing, and you really just beat the quavers. And you can't quite believe how long a quaver might be. So it's meant to be very slow, because it's this quietly ecstatic sound, starting on that F sharp major chord, and obviously it starts very quietly, gradually built up. In terms of composing, it's actually an obvious technique. It starts, has a first half, and then builds up, and then subsides, and then starts the second half in a similar way to the first half, but the second time it reaches the climax, which is that on that chord, top A sharp for the sopranos, where it's talking about the future glory of heaven, and yeah. So it kind of builds up in a very obvious way, and then it builds down again with this lovely, all over a dominant pedal, and it changes, builds down, and then just, that keeps falling and it slows down, and then it even doubles the length of the timing, so dotted crotchet becomes a dotted minim. That's called augmentation to slow it right down. I think it's the sort of piece to really get into and get the feel of it and what you're trying to do. I think it's a most beautiful piece, and the most, well, when performed in the right atmosphere, you want a nice echoey building. It's very impressive and very special. I know Messiaen was a very committed Catholic Christian, took his faith very seriously, and he definitely would have written this from the heart. So although it's got technical aspects, I think it's not so technical that we can't get the expressiveness of it across as well. So enjoy listening to it. Look at the John Rutter conducted performance has the score, so you can follow it through. That's quite helpful. But listen to some of the other performances too. There are various other professional chamber choirs in Europe, and then my own youth choir. And we'll look forward to seeing it all again when we can. Hope that's been helpful, and missing you all. Shame we can't meet at the moment, but maybe we will do at some point. Maybe we will even be able to sing something over Christmas. Maybe we just meet when we find out what's going on over Christmas. We meet once just to sing some Christmas music, because that might be the only chance we get. I know that locally, where you remember most of us did a little concert on the Common in Tyler's Green. Well, I happen to know that they are hoping to do something outdoors, caroling, and so I might be throwing your names, as it were, into the hat if they're interested. It has been mentioned that we might be able to do something to help them out with just a bit of a sing-song. So look out for that. If you'd be up for that, that would be quite fun. I don't think we need to rehearse very much to sing O Comedy Faithful, but it might be nice just to sing it once outside if that's the only chance we get to do it. Okay, that's all for now. Have a good week, and look forward to seeing you again sometime in the near future. Okay, bye.